Here we are again, part 2 of 3, the reason we celebrate Easter. So as we continue in our story in the Gospel of John chapter 20, we already read the first 10 verses in the first section. The second part, or the second fact that we find that John records, is the collaborating evidence of Jesus' disciples. So Peter and John, as we read, ran to the tomb. They looked in. John was the second one who walked into the tomb, and an incredible statement that we find there. John walked in, he saw, and notice what the text says, he believed. It didn't say anything about Peter. It said that John saw and believed. Well, the first evidence that something had taken place was kind of obvious. The body wasn't there. The absence of Jesus' body. So you would think, as those who were unbelieving, if the disciples were the ones who in fact stole the body of Jesus, why would they take the time to unwrap the body and leave the grave clothes there? I mean, wouldn't it have been a lot easier just to take the body and run off? So here we find something really interesting. John and Peter saw the tomb was empty. They saw the grave clothes there. And the conclusion that John came up with was that he saw something and believed the reality of the resurrection of Christ. The grave clothes were still there. In fact, if you look at the text, it says that they saw that the grave clothes around the body was in one place, and then what was wrapped around the head was in a separate place. So it was all still there. As if whoever was there, which of course was Christ, had simply vanished into thin air. And the truth was, it was a resurrection. The third thing that we find here, as we consider the collaborating evidence of Jesus' disciples, is that it was a moment of belief. John saw and he believed. It was an incredible thing to witness that was beyond John's comprehension. Here's a principle as we consider this. The evidence of the resurrection is understanding that believing is seeing. Why did John believe? He believed because he, as a member of the family of God, chose to connect with what Jesus had told him just a few days before, that he was going to rise from the dead. And you've heard the expression, you've heard me share it before, there are those that say seeing is believing. Well, the truth is, from a Christian perspective, believing is seeing. Believing is seeing. John saw and he believed. And he saw because it was not just with his eyes, he saw with his heart. Well, this is the second part, 2 of 3, and we're going to conclude with the principle. The principle is clear. The evidence of the resurrection is understanding that believing is seeing. Thank you, my dear beloved. We'll look forward to seeing you in part 3 of 3.